My cheating ex tried to ruin my life, so I destroyed his career and made him internet famous. In the worst way. Discovered my boyfriend of 3 years was cheating with multiple women while stealing my work to advance his career. I systematically exposed him, got him fired, blacklisted from his industry, and turned him into a viral meme. He went from rising tech star to unemployed laughingstock in 6 months. This happened over the course of about 8 months, and I'm finally ready to share the full story. Buckle up, because this is a long one, but I promise it's worth it. I'm Sarah, 28 years old, and at the time this story takes place, I was working as a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Austin. I'd been dating Marcus for 3 years. We met at a tech conference where I was presenting my research on machine learning algorithms for fraud detection. Marcus was charming, ambitious, and seemed genuinely interested in my work. We hit it off immediately. Marcus worked at a competing company as a senior product manager, though I later discovered his actual responsibilities were much more junior than his title suggested. He had a habit of embellishing his achievements, but I thought it was just typical tech industry posturing. How wrong I was. Our relationship seemed solid. We talked about moving in together, maybe getting married. I genuinely thought I'd found my person. Marcus had this way of making me feel like we were a team, like we were going to conquer the tech world together. He'd often ask detailed questions about my projects, claiming he wanted to understand my work better. I thought it was sweet that he was so interested. About 6 months before everything went to hell, I started noticing some weird behavior. Marcus would get secretive about his phone, angling it away from me when texting. He'd take calls in another room. When I asked about it, he'd claim it was sensitive work stuff or boring meetings. I tried not to be paranoid, but something felt off. The real red flag came when I attended his company's holiday party. I was excited to finally meet his coworkers and see him in his professional element. But when we arrived, I noticed something strange. Several people seemed confused when Marcus introduced me as his girlfriend. One woman, Jessica, gave me a particularly odd look and quickly excused herself. Later that night, I mentioned it to Marcus. He brushed it off, saying Jessica was weird and probably just awkward around couples. I wanted to believe him, so I did. The truth came out in the most cliché way possible. Marcus was in the shower, and his phone kept buzzing on the nightstand. The third time it went off, I glanced over and saw a preview of a text from someone named Babe. The message read, "Can't wait for tonight. Should I wear the red dress you like?" My heart stopped. I grabbed the phone. I knew his passcode. Because we'd been together for 3 years and trusted each other. Or so I thought. What I found was devastating. Not one affair, not 2. 5 different women, all thinking they were his girlfriend. The text threads were extensive, going back months. He had different personalities for each woman. Jessica from his office was the work wife he complained to about his crazy ex, which was me. Amanda from his gym was the fitness enthusiast he was getting serious with. Lisa from his college alumni group was the intellectual he discussed deep topics with. Rebecca from Tinder was the casual hookup he was catching feelings for. Monica from his apartment complex was the girl next door he was taking things slow with. Each woman had a different version of Marcus. He told Jessica I was his psycho ex who wouldn't leave him alone. He told Amanda he was single and looking for someone who shared his passion for fitness. He told Lisa he was a successful entrepreneur, using details from my projects. He told Rebecca he was recently divorced and not ready for anything serious. He told Monica he was new to dating after focusing on his career. But the worst part? In several of these conversations, he was sharing details about my work projects, passing off my ideas as his own. Screenshots of my code, my algorithm designs, even my presentation slides from conferences, all shared as his innovations. Sat there in our bedroom, listening to the shower run, scrolling through months of lies and betrayal. I felt sick, angry, and oddly calculating. This wasn't just cheating, this was identity theft, intellectual property theft, and emotional manipulation on an industrial scale. Marcus wasn't just cheating on me, he was using me. I could have confronted him right then. I could have screamed, thrown his phone at the bathroom door, and kicked him out. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the software engineer in me, but I realized I had stumbled onto something bigger than just infidelity. This was a pattern of behavior. And I had evidence. As I scrolled through his phone, I started taking screenshots. Every conversation, every lie, every instance of him stealing my work. I created a secure folder in my cloud storage and began documenting everything systematically. When Marcus came out of the shower, I was back in bed pretending to read. I acted completely normal. He kissed me goodnight and said he loved me. I said it back, already planning his downfall. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective. I started paying attention to Marcus's schedule, his habits, his lies. I created a spreadsheet, yes, really, tracking his stories to different women. I cross-referenced dates, locations, and claims. The contradictions were staggering. For example, on the same night he told Jessica he was working late on a big project. He told Amanda he was at his sick grandmother's house, while actually being on a date with Rebecca at a restaurant downtown. Thanks to Instagram location tags, I had proof of everything. I also started gathering evidence of the intellectual property theft. I had time-stamped files of all my work, emails showing when I'd shared ideas with Marcus, and now screenshots of him presenting those same ideas to other women, and I later discovered his coworkers. During this time, I had to act completely normal around Marcus. It was the hardest 2 weeks of my life. Every kiss felt like poison. Every "I love you" felt like a knife. But I kept reminding myself that this was temporary. I was building a case. I realized that simply exposing Marcus to his various girlfriends wouldn't be enough. Sure, it would hurt him, but he'd probably just find new victims. I needed something more permanent, more career-damaging. And then I remembered something. Marcus had told me months earlier. His company was in the middle of a major acquisition deal. Marcus had been bragging about how he was going to be promoted to Director of Product Strategy once the deal went through. This promotion was his dream job, the culmination of everything he'd been working toward. It would also come with a significant salary increase and stock options. I did some research and discovered that the acquiring company had very strict ethics policies, particularly around intellectual property and professional conduct. They terminated deals before due to ethical concerns. This gave me an idea. As a software engineer, I knew that the best way to prove intellectual property theft was to create a trap. I started working on a fake project, a revolutionary new algorithm for predicting user behavior that didn't actually work, but looked impressive to someone without deep technical knowledge. I created fake documentation, fake test results, and even a fake presentation. Then, I started casually mentioning this breakthrough project to Marcus, showing him just enough to make him interested, but not enough for him to realize it was bogus. The bait worked perfectly. Within a week, I found evidence that Marcus was sharing details about my revolutionary algorithm with his coworkers, claiming he'd developed it himself. He even scheduled a presentation to his leadership team about his breakthrough innovation. Now I had him. Not only was he stealing my real work, but I could prove it by showing him stealing and presenting work that I had deliberately created as a trap. While building my technical case, I was also working on the social aspect. I created fake social media profiles and started following all of Marcus's women. I learned their schedules, their interests, their friends. I wasn't stalking, I was preparing. I also started documenting Marcus's lies in real time. I'd screenshot his location when he was supposedly somewhere else, save social media posts that contradicted his stories, and keep track of which woman he was with when. The most damaging evidence came from Marcus himself. He had a habit of taking photos and videos to send to different women, often from the same locations but with different stories. For example, he took a selfie at a coffee shop and sent it to Jessica with the caption, "Working hard on Saturday," while sending the same photo to Amanda with, "Thinking of you during my morning run break." The timestamps were identical. 3 weeks into my investigation, I decided it was time for the first phase of my revenge. I started with the women Marcus was deceiving. But I didn't just send them screenshots and walk away. I orchestrated something much more elegant. I created an anonymous Instagram account called Austin Tech Truth and started posting Marcus's dating profiles side by side with his lies. I didn't use names initially, just photos with faces blurred and obvious details removed, but anyone who knew Marcus would recognize him. The first post was titled, "When you're dating 5 women and they all think they're your only girlfriend." It showed screenshots of him using the same pickup lines with different women, the same candid photos sent to multiple people, and contradictory stories about his relationship status. The post went viral in Austin tech circles. People were sharing it, trying to figure out who it was about. Marcus's coworkers were laughing about it, having no idea they were looking at their colleague. Chamin, viral post had an unexpected effect. One by one, Marcus's girlfriends started putting the pieces together. Jessica was the first to reach out to the Austin Tech Truth account, asking if the post was about someone specific. I carefully guided her to realize it was about Marcus without directly telling her. Once Jessica figured it out, she reached out to the other women. Within 48 hours, all 5 of Marcus's girlfriends were in a group chat comparing notes. The evidence was overwhelming. They realized they'd all been manipulated, lied to, and used. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of just blocking Marcus and moving on, the women decided they wanted revenge too. Jessica, it turned out, worked in HR at Marcus's company and had access to internal communications. Amanda was a fitness influencer with a significant social media following. Lisa was a lawyer. Rebecca was a marketing professional. Monica was a graphic designer. We had accidentally assembled the perfect revenge team. While the women were planning their own revenge, I was focused on destroying Marcus's career. I had compiled a comprehensive dossier of his intellectual property theft, including screenshots of him sharing my proprietary algorithms with unauthorized parties, evidence of him presenting my work as his own to his management team, documentation of him using my research to advance his own career, and proof that he was planning to present my fake algorithm as his breakthrough innovation. I also had evidence of his unprofessional conduct, including using company resources for personal dating. He'd been using his company laptop to manage his dating profiles and had been taking personal calls during work hours. I sent this dossier to 3 places: Marcus's current company's ethics hotline, the acquiring company's due diligence team, and the intellectual property legal team at my company. I made sure to present everything professionally, focusing on the business impact rather than the personal betrayal. I positioned myself as a concerned industry professional reporting potential fraud, not a scorned girlfriend seeking revenge. While the professional wheels were turning, the women and I planned the public humiliation phase. We decided to coordinate a multi-platform exposure that would make Marcus internet famous for all the wrong reasons. Jessica used her HR access to gather additional evidence of Marcus's workplace misconduct. She discovered he'd been lying on his performance reviews, inflating his contributions to projects, and taking credit for other people's work, not just mine. Amanda used her social media influence to create a viral TikTok series called Red Flags I Ignored. She didn't name Marcus initially, but told the story of a man who was dating multiple women while stealing intellectual property from one of them. The series got millions of views. Lisa provided legal advice on how to expose Marcus without opening ourselves up to defamation claims. She helped us focus on provable facts and avoid personal attacks. Rebecca created a comprehensive marketing campaign to spread the story across multiple platforms. She understood viral content and knew how to make something spread. Monica designed infographics and visual content that made the story easy to understand and share. 2 months into my revenge plan, Marcus gave his big presentation about his breakthrough algorithm to his company's leadership team. I had inside information about this presentation because Jessica worked there and was keeping me informed. Marcus presented my deliberately flawed algorithm as his own revolutionary innovation. He claimed it would transform their fraud detection capabilities and give them a major competitive advantage. His slides were nearly identical to the fake presentation I had created, with just enough changes to make it look like he'd developed it himself. The presentation was recorded, standard practice for important company meetings, and Marcus was praised by his leadership team. They were so impressed that they fast-tracked his promotion and scheduled a follow-up presentation for the acquisition team. This was exactly what I had been waiting for. The day before Marcus was scheduled to present to the acquisition team, I released a comprehensive technical analysis on LinkedIn and Medium, explaining exactly why the algorithm he was presenting was fundamentally flawed and could never work as advertised. I broke down the mathematics, showed the logical errors, and explained why anyone with a basic understanding of machine learning would recognize it as fake. I presented it as an educational post about common mistakes in algorithm design and used Marcus's algorithm as a case study without initially naming him or his company. The post was shared by hundreds of data scientists and engineers. Comments poured in from industry experts pointing out additional flaws I hadn't even noticed. Within 24 hours, it was clear to anyone in the tech industry that the algorithm was complete nonsense. But here's the beautiful part. Marcus had no idea this was happening. He was so confident in his breakthrough that he hadn't bothered to verify the technical details. He walked into that acquisition meeting planning to present an algorithm that had just been publicly debunked by the entire tech community. Jessica managed to get a recording of Marcus's presentation to the acquisition team. It was even more devastating than I had hoped. Marcus confidently presented the flawed algorithm, making grand claims about its capabilities. The acquisition team included several PhD-level data scientists who immediately recognized the problems. They started asking technical questions that Marcus couldn't answer because he didn't actually understand the work he was presenting. When one of the data scientists mentioned that a similar algorithm had just been debunked in a viral LinkedIn post, Marcus tried to claim that his version was different. The data scientist pulled up my post on his laptop and compared it side by side with Marcus's presentation. The similarities were undeniable. The meeting ended with the acquisition team questioning not just Marcus's competence, but his integrity. How could a senior product manager present such fundamentally flawed work as his own breakthrough innovation? Either he was incompetent enough not to understand basic machine learning principles, or he was dishonest enough to steal and present someone else's work. Neither option was good for Marcus. Within a week of the disastrous presentation, Marcus's company launched a formal investigation into his conduct. The ethics complaint I had filed months earlier was now being taken very seriously, especially in light of the acquisition team's concerns. The investigation uncovered everything: the intellectual property theft, the lies on his performance reviews, the misuse of company resources, and the pattern of deception that extended far beyond his work life. Jessica, still working in HR, kept me updated on the investigation's progress. The company discovered that Marcus had been falsely claiming credit for projects he hadn't worked on, inflating his role in successful initiatives, and even forging email chains to make it look like ideas had originated from him. The acquiring company put the deal on hold pending the investigation's outcome. Marcus went from being the rising star who would lead the post-acquisition product team to being the liability that was jeopardizing the entire deal. While Marcus's professional life was imploding, the social media campaign was reaching its peak. Amanda's TikTok series had inspired dozens of copycat videos, with women sharing their own stories of men who had deceived multiple partners while stealing intellectual property. The hashtag #OnTechBoyRevenge started trending, with thousands of women sharing similar experiences. Marcus's story became the poster child for a larger conversation about men in tech who use their positions to exploit women both personally and professionally. Rebecca's marketing campaign had successfully turned Marcus into a meme. His LinkedIn profile photo became associated with the lying tech bro meme format. People would use his photo with captions like, "tells 5 women he loves them, can't write a single line of code," and "steals your algorithms, calls it innovation." 4 months after I discovered Marcus's betrayal, we were ready for the final phase. I published a comprehensive Medium article titled, "How I Caught My Boyfriend Stealing My Work and Cheating with 5 Women, a Case Study in Tech Industry Toxicity." The article went viral immediately. I told the entire story with full documentation, screenshots, and evidence. I explained how Marcus had systematically stolen my intellectual property while maintaining relationships with multiple women through an elaborate web of lies. I was careful to focus on the professional misconduct and the broader implications for the tech industry. This wasn't just a story about infidelity. It was about how toxic masculinity in tech manifests as both intellectual theft and emotional manipulation. The article was shared by major tech publications, featured in newsletters, and discussed on podcasts. Marcus's real name was now permanently associated with one of the most comprehensive takedowns in tech industry history. The results exceeded my wildest expectations. Marcus was fired from his company for ethics violations. The acquisition deal was restructured to specifically exclude him from any post-merger role. He was blacklisted from several major tech companies. In Austin, his LinkedIn profile became a cautionary tale shared in business ethics courses. Multiple companies where he had interviewed rescinded their offers. My company filed intellectual property theft charges against him. He was required to pay damages for the stolen work. Professional licensing boards in Texas opened investigations into his conduct. His dating profiles were screenshot and shared across social platforms. He became the subject of multiple Reddit threads dissecting his behavior. Local Austin social groups banned him from events. His social media accounts were flooded with people calling out his behavior. All 5 women he was dating dumped him simultaneously on the same day, coordinated by Jessica. His family learned about his behavior when the story went viral. He had to move to a different city to escape the local notoriety. He remained unemployed in tech for over a year. While my primary goal was revenge against Marcus, the story had several unexpected positive outcomes. I received multiple job offers from companies impressed by my thorough documentation and technical skills. I was invited to speak at conferences about intellectual property protection in tech. I became an advocate for women in tech who have experienced similar exploitation. My dating life improved dramatically. Turns out, viral revenge stories are surprisingly attractive to certain types of people. Jessica was promoted after her role in exposing Marcus was recognized by her company's leadership. Amanda's social media following exploded, leading to major brand partnerships. Lisa used the case as the basis for a law review article about intellectual property theft in relationships. Rebecca launched a successful consulting business, helping people manage online reputation crises. Monica's design work for the campaign caught the attention of major clients. Multiple companies updated their ethics policies based on our case. New protocols were established for protecting intellectual property in collaborative relationships. The story became a case study in business schools about professional conduct. Industry organizations created new resources for reporting intellectual property theft. Looking back on this experience, I learned several important lessons. Documentation is everything. The reason my revenge was so successful was because I had comprehensive evidence of everything Marcus did. Screenshots, timestamps, and systematic record keeping made my case unassailable. Patience pays off. I could have confronted Marcus immediately, but waiting and planning allowed me to achieve much more comprehensive justice. Collaboration amplifies impact. Working with the other women Marcus deceived made our revenge exponentially more effective than anything I could have done alone. Focus on facts, not emotions. By presenting Marcus's misconduct as a business and ethical issue rather than just personal betrayal, I ensured that the consequences would be professional and lasting. The internet never forgets. Marcus's story will follow him forever. Future. Employers, potential partners, and professional contacts will be able to find detailed documentation of his behavior with a simple Google search. It's been over a year since the story broke, and Marcus has largely disappeared from public view. Through various sources, I've heard that he moved to a different state to escape the local notoriety, changed careers entirely, leaving tech for a sales role in a different industry, deleted all his social media accounts, has struggled to maintain relationships because word travels fast in any community, and attempted to legally change his name, though this was unsuccessful. I occasionally get messages from people who have encountered him in his new location, usually warning me that he's trying to rebuild his reputation by claiming he was the victim of a crazy ex-girlfriend's revenge plot. These attempts are generally unsuccessful because the documentation of his behavior is so comprehensive and public. Some people have asked me if I feel bad about what I did to Marcus, or if I think my response was disproportionate to his crimes. My answer is always the same. Marcus didn't just cheat on me. He systematically stole my intellectual property, used my work to advance his career, manipulated multiple women through elaborate lies, and showed a pattern of deception that would have continued indefinitely if I hadn't stopped it. The consequences he faced were the natural result of his actions becoming public knowledge. I didn't destroy his career. I simply made sure that his professional community knew who he really was. The fact that this knowledge made him unemployable says more about the severity of his misconduct than about the appropriateness of my response. I also think about the women who won't be victimized by Marcus in the future because his behavior is now well documented and easily discoverable. The tech companies that won't hire him based on his ethical violations. The investors who won't fund his ventures because of his history of intellectual property theft. In that sense, my revenge wasn't just personal, it was a public service. Marcus's story became a cultural touchstone because it represented something larger than just one man's bad behavior. It highlighted systemic issues in tech culture. the way intellectual property can be stolen in intimate relationships, how professional success can be built on deception, and how toxic masculinity manifests in both personal and professional contexts. The viral nature of the story sparked important conversations about protecting intellectual property in collaborative relationships, recognizing and reporting professional misconduct, the intersection of personal and professional ethics, power, dynamics in tech industry relationships, and the long-term consequences of deceptive behavior in the digital age. I regularly receive messages from people who are dealing with similar situations: partners who steal their work, colleagues who take credit for their innovations, or romantic partners who are leading double lives. My advice is always the same. Document everything before you take any action. Focus on facts rather than emotions when building your case. Consider the long-term consequences of your response. Seek allies who can help amplify your voice. And remember that exposing bad behavior is not the same as revenge. It's accountability. A year and a half later, I'm in a much better place. I'm in a healthy relationship with someone who actually respects my work and my boundaries. My career has flourished, partly due to the recognition I received for handling this situation so professionally. I've become an advocate for other women in tech who have faced similar exploitation. Marcus, meanwhile, has faded into obscurity. His name occasionally surfaces in discussions about professional ethics or in warnings shared among women in various communities. But he's largely become irrelevant. The best revenge, it turns out, wasn't destroying Marcus's life. It was building a better one for myself, while ensuring that he could never hurt anyone else the way he hurt me and those 5 other women. And every time someone Googles his name, they'll find the complete, documented story of exactly who he is and what he's capable of. In the digital age, that's the most permanent consequence of all. Thanks for the awards, everyone. A few people have asked about updates, but honestly, Marcus has been pretty quiet since moving away. The most recent update is that he apparently tried to get the Medium article taken down for defamation, but since everything in it is documented and factual, his lawyer told him he had no case. For those asking about the fake algorithm I created, I've actually turned it into a teaching tool. I now use it in presentations about how to spot flawed technical proposals and the importance of peer review in algorithm development. Several people have asked if Marcus ever tried to apologize or make amends. The answer is no. The only communication I received from him was through a lawyer demanding I remove defamatory content, which I obviously didn't do, since truth is an absolute defense against defamation. He's never acknowledged wrongdoing or shown any genuine remorse. I've been asked to write a book about this experience, and I'm actually considering it. There's a lot more to the story than I could fit in this post, and I think it could be valuable for other people dealing with similar situations. For those concerned about my ethics in creating the fake algorithm trap, I want to be clear that this was fake technical work that I created specifically to catch someone stealing my intellectual property. It was never intended for actual use, never presented as real research, and never caused any harm to any legitimate business interests. It was simply bait in a trap for a thief.